Over the past few decades, the 200 meters has become one of the most competitive and historically fast events in all of track and field. From the year 2000 up until 2010, track only saw a total of 21 new names breaking the 20-second mark. Clearly, this was one of those special time barriers that could only be achieved by perhaps one or maybe two athletes every season, making it one of the more rare moments to witness in all of track and field. Or at least that's what many people thought at the time, because ever since the year 2010, the 200 meters has absolutely exploded with depth and speed, and it's changed in a way that most never thought would happen in their lifetime. From 2010 through 2020, the number of sub-20 clockings began to slowly tick up with every passing season, crossing more than 10 athletes for the first time in 2015, and finally reaching a new high of 14 athletes in the 2018 season. These sub-20 performances were now becoming all the more common for some of the best sprinters on the planet. However, after a year of next to nothing taking place because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the floodgates of speed officially opened up. In 2022, 2023, 2024, and in 2025, we saw more sub-20-second clockings than any year in the past, with a few seasons passing 50 total sub-20s. In fact, if we combine the past 4 seasons together, we saw more total sub-20-second times than the entirety of the 2010s, which, of course, was the decade dominated by Usain Bolt. This massive change over the half-lap distance could be the result of many different things. It could be the push forward in shoe technology, which has brought us many new installments of super shoes. It could be a simple understanding of how to run the 200, as more and more people are closing their second halves in record-setting splits. It could also be better training, better nutrition, or better recovery. It's impossible to say exactly what is going on behind the scenes in this event, but one thing is for certain. Things are only getting more and more competitive as each season passes. And in 2025, we again saw something that has never happened in the history of the 200. And it very well could be the exact inflection point of more and more people genuinely approaching Usain Bolt's world record. Let me take you back to 1993. In this year's World Track and Field Championships, the men's 200 meters became one of the most influential races of that year. And at this year's Stuttgart World Championships in Germany, we saw Carl Lewis, John Regis, and Frankie Fredericks all breaking the 20-second barrier in the 200-meter final. This was the first time in history that all 3 medalists had gone sub-20 for any championship final in the half lap. And as the years continued forward, things would only get more and more competitive if you wanted to grab a medal. In 1996, we saw yet a new standard in 200-meter running, as Otto Bolden finished in 3rd place with a time of 19.80, and this race became the first time in history that all 3 medalists went under 19.9. Fast forward to the 2021 Olympics, and Noah Lyles finished with a bronze in 19.74 seconds, marking the first time in history where all 3 medalists finished under 19.8. And since this time, no Olympic or World Championships has ever resulted in all 3 medalists running under 19.7. Well, that was until 2025, because at this year's World Track and Field Champs in Tokyo, Japan, we got a front row seat to legendary speed. For this 200-meter final, Noah Lyles, Kenny Bednarek, and Brian Lavelle of Jamaica all ran under 19.7 to make the podium. A historically fast race that once again broke down barriers to how fast you do need to run in order to earn a medal. This was a crazy quick race, and these athletes have once again achieved a new echelon of speed in order to make it to the podium. However, there was actually something else in this race that was crucial to witness. And that's that Letsile Teboho from Botswana in 4th also ran under 19.7 as he finished in 4th in 19.65. This is far and away the fastest time ever in a World Championship or Olympic final that did not result in a medal. Even outside of these top 4 were Zarnell Hughes in 5th, who achieved a time of 19.78, which by all accounts should win you a medal on the global stage. However, in the modern landscape of the 200, it is only fast enough for 5th. This year's world champs in the 200 were simply off the charts with speed. However, if we take a step back and look at the bigger picture, we can see that on average, 2025 was easily one of the fastest years on record. Here's a chart looking at the average times for the top 10 sprinters in the world for each year since 2016. As you can see, things started to get incredibly quick after the 2020 pandemic took place, with 2022 resulting in the fastest season on record, as these top 10 runners achieved an average clocking of 19.70. For a top 10 average, this shows just how much speed was entering the picture in 2022. And for 2025, the average time achieved by these top 10 was 19.72 seconds. However, this only tells a part of the story, and that's because for this year's track and field season, we had two very quick athletes, more or less not competing as they typically would, and these two athletes include Ariane Knighton and Fred Kerley. Since 2021, both Kerley and Knighton were set to run around 4 to 5 races under 20 seconds, with Knighton getting under 20 seconds and Kerley also getting under this barrier quite often, and they both had PRs well under 20 seconds. Not having these two in the picture this year severely affected the overall average, meaning that all things being equal, if they had run like they typically did since 2021, this year's average probably would have been under 19.7. Even with these two out of the picture this year, 2025 was still one of the quickest seasons to ever take place. But why was this? It wasn't an Olympic season. The fastest time in the world this year wasn't even under 19.5. Well, the answer to that question is incredible talent coming from the collegiate division. For this year's top 10 athletes, we had 3 separate runners break into this top 10 from the NCAA. And these athletes include Tamars McCallum, Tapawanashi Makarawu, and also Garrett Collin from USC. This kind of depth coming from the collegiate rankings is certainly not a normal thing to see. We might see 1 or perhaps 2, but to see 3 athletes running under 19.85 to break into the top 10 in objectively one of the quickest seasons of all time is just undeniably impressive. Every single year, the standards for the 200 just keep getting pushed faster and faster, at least on average. But notably, the world record of Usain Bolt still stands at 19.19, and it somewhat seems to stand as an invincible record against anyone in the current landscape. It seems as though no matter what name rises up, what competition is currently unfolding, or what new standards take place to get a global medal, this 19.19 time from Usain Bolt is just too fast to challenge, even if many athletes are getting well under 19.7. Perhaps the incredible depth that we are currently seeing will continue to build its way to a faster and faster expectation, and who knows, maybe Usain Bolt's record is soon to fall. Or perhaps times of 19.5 or 19.4 will serve as somewhat of a stabilizer to the world's best moving forward. Either way, the men's 200-meter dash is only getting quicker and quicker, and the times required to get a medal are through the roof fast. However, as the future years unfold, leave your thoughts down below on whether or not you think Usain Bolt's record will fall. Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time.